Okay, so for the final exam review, we're going to start with dealing with the estimated annual premium. So important things you want to know for here. Okay. So you need to be able to compute the estimated annual premium, the EAP, by taking the face value, dividing it by 1,000, and multiplying it by the rate from the table. So we'll set that up in a moment, but I just want to make a little note of things to remember. You want to know the type of policy, whether it's 10, 20, whole, or universal. Okay. And then you also need to know the person's age and you need to know their gender, male or female. And then for the rate, you need to know what class. So it's either preferred, non-tobacco, or tobacco. So non-tobacco meaning the non-smoker, tobacco meaning the smoker. Okay, so those are the important things you need to know. So now we'll go to the table and figure that all out. So according to our problem, we have a 20-year level term with a face value of 30,000 for a 25-year-old male who smokes. Okay, so we have 20-year level term right here for a male who's 25 and he smokes, so that's tobacco. That puts us at 2.86. That's my rate. And then the face value of the policy is 30,000. I divide that by 1,000, which leaves me with $85.80, which is A. Now on this next one, I want to find another annual policy, annual premium for universal. Okay. For my universal insurance, face value of 50,000 for a 50-year-old female who's non-tobacco. Okay. So now I take that information, I can set it up right here. I know the face value is 50,000. I'm going to divide that by 1,000. And then I'm going to look for that rate, but I need to go on my table for that. So universal, female, 55. Let me pause that for a minute so I can move it. Okay. 55-year-old. And then I'm going to scroll again so I could see. And the 55-year-old female is non-tobacco rate. So an NT. So I'm going to move down here. $20.25. Okay, so with that rate, I'm at 1,012.50, which is A. Now for my next one, I'm making quarterly payments for a $30,000 whole life insurance policy, 40-year-old male. with a preferred. So already, the first thing I have to do is compute that EAP. And then the next thing I need to find is the quarterly payment. And that one, based on my table, so I can scroll so you can look. On this table right here, the second table is what's going to give me the quarterly. I look at quarterly, that's 26%, which is 0.26 when you convert it. So then whatever I get here, I'm multiplying it by 0.26, but I can't do that yet, because that right there is the EAP, and I haven't found it yet. So now I'm going to go back, find out my info. So I have a whole life for a male with a preferred rate who is 40, 1442. So I have 30,000 divided by 1,000 times the 1442. That gives me 432.60, which I put over here. That's what's getting multiplied with my quarterly rate. So if it's quarterly, it's 0.26. If it's, just so you could see what I'm talking about, if it's semi-annual, it's 51%, so it's 0.51. If it's monthly, I'll write them out. So that's 0.51. And if it's monthly, it'll be 0.0875. Again, because of the conversion. 1, 2. Okay. So then my quarterly payment will be equal to 112.48, which is D. Now I want to compare the premiums for a 10-year level term policy for $40,000 for a 45-year-old male and the same policy for a 45-year-old female on a non-tobacco rate. So non-tobacco, we have male and female who are both 45 with a $40,000 policy with a 10-year level. Okay, so what I like to do is separate. I have male on this side, female on that side. So they're both 40,000 divided by 1,000 times I need to find their rate. Okay, so looking at these, so 10-year level, male and female, both non-tobacco, and they're both 45, 269 for the male, 2.12, so 2.169 times the 40,000 over 1,000, and then for the female, you're going to multiply that 40,000 by divided by 1,000 times 2.12. So when I do both of them, I will end up with the comparison. So male 107.60 and female 84.80. The male, which one is higher? So we want to know which one's higher. The male is higher. By how much? In order to find that part out, you have to find the difference. So that'd be 107 minus the 84.80, which is 22.80. So the male pays a premium that is $22.80 higher, which is A. Now, moving on to renter's insurance. Jim has an insurance policy that's 40,000. So we have 40,000 right here. And then he's taking out a minimum liability, and his deductible is 1,000. So let's stop right there. We need to find for us, going back. So we need to find, in our regard, that first part of the premium. So we're doing base premium plus options plus endorsements. Okay. The base premium comes from the table. So I look at the policy limit, which is 40,000. I look at that deductible, which is 1,000. And then I look for the minimum liability, minimum meaning the smallest amount possible, which is 300,000. Now, the other thing I didn't mention yet, which we didn't get to, is the type of credit. So this person had a recent bankruptcy, which means the credit is bad. So bad credit, 313. So that's the first part. Now I need to take in consideration the options and the endorsements. First comes the options. Options, the only thing I'm seeing that's options, it could be ID theft or sewer and sump pump protection. So in this case, it said that Jim took out ID theft fraud protection, which that right there, if you go underneath the table, ID theft and fraud protection is $20 per year. We don't have any other things going on there for options, so that's where we stay. Now endorsements. The endorsement is 3,000 for camera equipment. So I'm gonna make a little note right here. When you do an endorsement, you have to take the amount for the endorsement divided by 100 times the rate for the specific endorsement. So this endorsement was $3,000. Now the rate for camera equipment, you look at the underneath the table, there's normally something listed that tells you specifically what camera equipment is. So camera equipment is $1.35 for every $100 per year. So my rate is $1.35. So when I do this out, I end up with $40.50 for this endorsement. That's what they're charging me in order to protect my camera equipment, or Jim to protect his camera equipment. So now I sum them up and I end up with the premium of $373.50, which is C. Now I want to find the annual homeowners insurance on a masonry home. So important, masonry home, zone 1, and it's insured for 450,000. There's a $1,000 deductible on it with good credit. Okay? So now I go to the table and I need to find out that information. But the formula itself, when I do that out, I need the amount that it's insured for, and that's divided by 100. Note the table says $100. And I'm going to times that by the rate that I get from that table. So the amount I'm insured for is the 450,000. Then I'm going to multiply that by the rate that I find in the table. The type of home is masonry. It's in zone 1. The deductible is $1,000 and the credit is good, which means if I go this way, 27 cents, which is going to give me the annual homeowners insurance premium of $1,215. Just see. Now, in order to do this one, to find the amount of compensation to the owner by the insurance policy, we need to know first the formula for compensation, and then we'll identify everything. So I have compensation is equal to the loss, note up to face value, times the face value divided by 80% of the replacement value. Okay, so let's identify things. I have a replacement value of $257,000. I have damages at 2,700, so damage also known as the loss. I have a face value that is 231,000. So I go from there. Now I replace things. So my loss, the damages, is 2,700. I multiply that by the face value of the policy. And then I need to multiply that by 80% of the replacement value, which the replacement value is 257,000. And I have to multiply that 80% of it is times 0.8 or 0.80, either one. So once I do that, I'm given 205,600. So now when this is all done out, you get 3,033 with 56 cents. Now this value, remember, it's a quick note. Your compensation, your compensation, what you're going to get back, looking at this situation, it's never, if your compensation is greater than the damages, you're going to get the damage amount. If it's less than the damages, you get the amount that you computed, the compensation amount. All right. This is compensation. So if this compensation, if this amount that you computed is greater than the damages, which is 2,700, you're going to get the 2,700 back. If it's less than the damages, you're going to get that amount that you computed back. So in this situation, because the compensation you computed was higher, they're going to just give you the 2,700. So then your answer would be B, 2,700. Now, moving on to automobile insurance. We want to find the total annual insurance premium using these tables. So the first thing, we need to find liability. So we have the liability premium. Which is based off of this table right here, the first table. Then we need the comprehensive, and then collision. So liability first. I need to know what territory I'm in, what kind of credit I have, and my liability limit. So I know I'm in territory 1 with occasional credit, and my liability coverage or limit is 50/150. So territory 1, occasional credit, 50/150, $600 is my first one. So now comprehensive. Comprehensive and collision are both using the big table. So the one on the right. So now I look at territory 1 because I'm still in territory 1. I got comprehensive and collision both next to each other. Now what I need from that are the deductibles. So comprehensive is 250, collision is 500. So comprehensive is 250, collision 500. Now we also know that they have occasional credit, so I'm right here and right here for both. And now I need to know what model class this one is showing model class 1. So I'm right here in model class. Now the age of the car says it's new, which means that's 0 to 1 years old. So I go over to my spots under OCC. I have 628 for comprehensive. And then I go over to collision. I have 855. So when I sum those up, I end up with $2,083. So you have to add in order to get the premium. All right, so now for this next one, similar to the last, still in territory 1. The coverage is 250, 500, 250. That's right here. The credit is bad, which means it would be 1036 or 1036 for liability. And I'm just going to shorten these. Liability premium, 1036, comp premium, and then collision premium. Okay, so now remember, comprehensive and collision are in this table. Territory 1, comprehensive, collision. Now I need deductibles, 250 and 1,000. 250, 1,000. They both have bad credit, bad credit. Okay. And model class is 3, and it's 4 years old. Model class 3, 4 to 5, so I'm over here. So I move where the bad credit is, 417 for comprehensive. And then I move over 720 for collision. Add them up. And I end up with $2,173. Okay. So now we're dealing with the same type of problem now in word problem form. Let me scroll a little bit more. So important things. We have territory 1. The liability coverage is 500, 1,050. 0 for comprehensive, 500 for collision. The vehicle is new, and the model class is 1. Now, this person also has bad credit. So now let's figure this out. So I need my liability premium, comp premium, and collision. So liability is going to be right here. So I'm in territory 1, bad credit, 500, 1,050. So let me move this up a little bit so we can see it. Right here for the bad credit, 1208, 1,208. Now for the other one, still territory 1 for comprehensive and collision. The deductibles, I have a 0 deductible for comprehensive and a 500 for collision. We know that this person has bad credit. The model class is 1. And the age of the vehicle is new. So that's 0 to 1. So now I move down to find it. 759 for comprehensive. And then I move over to collision. 1279. Add them. Let me make sure I double check what I have. One quick thing. I went into the wrong row. It should be right here. Zero deductible. I'm so used to going to 250. So zero deductible for bad credit, $11.29. Okay, so now we have all three numbers. Add them up. You should be getting 3,616. And our final one. So important things. You have a Territory 1, 150 liability. The car is 8 years old. And the model class, actually, I'm going to separate this a little bit here. So the things you're going to need for the first one to get the liability premium, because I'm going to separate this: comprehensive, collision. Okay. So for anything regarding liability premium, the first one, I'm going to use a highlighter of that same color. So I'm using like a yellow color. So Territory 1, the liability limit, and we need the credit, OCC. Okay. So once we know that, now I'm going to go to the table, Territory 1, 150, OCC credit, 604. Now, let's go to the highlighter here. I'm going to change the color to like, I'll do light pink. Okay, so now I need to know how old the car is. So 8-year-old vehicle, model class 1, comprehensive is 250, collision is 500, and the credit is still OCC. So that didn't change anything. And I got their deductibles. Yep, I got all that stuff. And we know the territory matters as well. So Territory 1. So Territory 1, I'm still here. So now comprehensive has a 250 deductible. Collision is 500. Okay. And then let me erase this a little bit because it's so light. So making it so dark here. Territory 1. There you go. See it better. All right. So I got my deductibles, all that stuff. My model class. Model class is 1. And the age of the car is 6+ because it's 8 years old. Which means now I can move from here. OCC credit, let me mark that too. OCC under there, OCC under here. So now moving to my OCC credit, I got 402 and 530. So 402, 530, add them up, and you get 1536. Note, this says monthly payments. So whenever you're looking for monthly payments, you take that annual, because notice this is the annual amount. So I need to take this and divide it by 12. That's going to give me 128. So your monthly payment would be $128. And that concludes our review for the final exam.